How did Sunk Haze get its name?
That is a good question. I have asked so many people. I have found that name over in far eastern Maine,
Uh-huh.
and it's always a place like this where I don't know whether it's the mist or the fog hangs low,
Yeah.
you know?
From my YouTubers, I'll tell you the spot directly across the street. Like if I'm right over there where the mill is, there's a little road right there, a little turnaround road, and it's named Sunk Haze. And
Yeah.
Sunk, S-U-N-K, Haze, H-A-Z. It sounds like something from a Jimi Hendrix album. Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the place names here in Maine are Englishized native language, and they made it sound like something that we could recognize in the local vernacular. Now, whether it's one of those or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good question. I've asked a number of people, and they just they always look at me. Why would you ask that question, kind of thing?
Yeah. Well,
but I always do.
We've had people. We were in Georgia recently, and we mentioned there's a new distillery over here.
Yeah.
And they make their own beer there, and one of the beers is named Sunk Haze. So we were in Georgia, and we were talking to these people, and she mentioned this beer called Sunk Haze, and the guy's head just rolled around on it, and his eyeballs, you know, it's like, what? What are you know, no idea, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And its name that goes a long way back. So if I ever find out.
Yeah, if you ever find out, let us know.
Because most of the areas named by the early settlers, they named them after whoever cleared a piece of ground there.
Okay.
So like Shepherd's Hill and Burkett's Hill and Burkett's Road, and you know, they more inclined to do that. So that's a very good question.
Well, I know in the book you mentioned, and I probably have it sitting on the shelf over there. I could probably yank it out and show the cover right quick, but in the book Come Spring, there's so much activity that, and really, you know, this house is kind of pretty much almost in the middle of it. I mean,
yes,
I know
it
there's
is.
a grave on the hill over there, you know, where the robins are buried, and this is the old rapids here.
Yeah.
And they talk about coming up river until they got to the rapids and they couldn't go any further, and they talk about I just found out recently there's a carry around spot over here at the end of the lake where they would carry the canoes to bypass the rapids to go from Seven Tree Pond to Centerbeck and all that. Just an awful lot of interesting history. If you think about it, there's history written down of people carrying canoes. I mean, that in itself, if there was nothing else, that would be amazing to me, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, we have a ridiculously rich history, and I know nothing about it, and you are probably one of the few people who knows more about it than anyone around. And you know, having you share this stuff is, if you think about it, it's kind of like having that photographer shoot pictures all those years ago. One of these days, we're not going to be here anymore, but whatever you say into this camera that gets shared with the world is going to continue to exist, and people will look back and say, hey, there was this person back then that was worked in the Historical Society, and here we are.
Well, you know, most of us, when we went to school, grade school and high school, and we were taught history of somewhere else in the world, we never learned that wonderful nitty-gritty of right where we were born, right where we lived. And it's just been fascinating to me to see all of this exciting stuff that was going on while our nation was being, quote, born, and writing the big documents like, you know, our Declaration of Independence. But people were up here cutting massive trees and building a life here with their bare hands, practically, with an axe and a flint and steel and maybe a flintlock, you know. And